1988. How your tax dollars are being spent. 1140 WRVA.
8:06 our time. Jimmy Baird Show here on News Radio 1140 WRVA. Last week, a pretty big company, Target, joined the list of companies scaling back on employee insurance. And there are other big names that are going to come. And there are going to be thousands and thousands of employees impacted by this one. So what are they telling these employees? Who are the ones that are losing their insurance? Paul Bazell joins us, Human Resources Consultant with Adviant. How are you, Paul?
Doing well. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So are these all part-time people?
That is where it's at least starting at this point for Target and a lot of other employers that have a part-time workforce or low-wage earning workforce. And this is a trend that began last year.
What kind of insurance did these part-time workers have?
I'm not familiar with their exact program, but it is not unusual for part-time workers to be offered a limited benefit plan, something different than what a full-time employee might be offered. And that is mostly devised by the employer in their effort to manage cost.
Right. And one thing I think we can probably say with some certainty, can't we, and that is that the minimum plan that you have to purchase through the Health Care Act is going to be a whole lot more expensive for these people than the plan that they were on with their employer.
Well, like most health care discussions, the situation is dependent upon each individual's age, and it's a very much an individual scenario. Generally speaking, though, if the plans on the exchange are full benefit plans, so if an employee had one of those minimum or partial programs that I talked about earlier, then the benefits will be richer, and yes, the costs will be commensurate and higher.
Right, but for a lot of those people, they're going from something they probably could afford to perhaps something that they can't afford.
There will be those.
Yeah.
Take it to the bank.
And of course, if they can't afford it, you get to pay the penalty and have no insurance, which is even better, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting is that some people actually want it that way. I don't. If the government did take that into consideration, I suppose there's a whole conspiracy to be contemplated there. But there really is a faction of people that really don't want insurance. They're getting their health care for free through the community health care system.
Right.
They don't want to deal with any of that.
Or the same way that you and I were when we were 19 or 20 years old. We're invincible. They don't think anything's going to happen to them, so why should they spend the money on it?
Oh, Jimmy, were you and I ever that way?
Yeah, I was. I don't know about you, but I sure was.
I was, too.
Yeah. Now, I guess the big question for everybody, and again, we're talking to Paul Bazell. He's the Human Resources Consultant with Adviant. Is this just the tip of the iceberg?
I think so. Our firm is of the belief that employers are probably best served to kind of view health care the same, health insurance specifically, the same way that employers have viewed offering the traditional defined benefit pension plan, which has pretty much gone the way of the dinosaur, except for a few very, very large companies.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with all this, but it doesn't bode well not only for the Health Care Act, but for people in general, because if a lot of these 19, 20, 21-year-olds don't buy into this, it's not going to be able to pay for itself anyway. Paul, good to talk to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You bet. Paul Bazell, Human Resources Consultant. He's with Adviant. 810, News Radio 1140 WRVA.